How are you doing? We're gonna skip all the intros. We're just gonna go right into it.
I'm
What's
good,
what's
bro.
going on?
I'm doing well.
Mm-hmm.
Chilling. I was watching the Warriors game. They were getting absolutely blasted, but it's okay. It's
Okay.
all good. How are
Well,
you?
now you have this to look forward to. I'm good. I'm good. It's been I think we talked to like I don't know back in July or August of one of those two. I think it's been a couple of months, but um I am like you'll be glad to hear this. I'm a full 180 from when we talked last time. So last time when we talked, it was a lot about how much I hate the job and how bad I feel and all that stuff. And since then, like it technically got worse. Like I realized that I was in like a full like depressive, anxious like mess. So I'm like a full 180 now, and it feels amazing.
What do you
It
think helped?
uh well, specifically, I told myself in October, which is the busiest time for me, as you know. Uh, I told myself literally that month I have 31 days to get my shit together. So what I ended up doing because I needed an accountability partner and I needed like a way to like make what I'm doing have purpose. So I went right back to my camera and I recorded myself for 31 days, essentially just like vlogging my entire like not in my entire day, but like the specific parts of my day that I wanted to get on camera. So it was like I would wake up, say good morning to the camera, chat a little bit, record myself brushing my teeth, record myself doing my nasal rinse, record myself doing my face wash, record myself going to the gym, sometimes coming back from the gym, recording myself making my protein shake, doing the dish, like any like
Let's
mundane
go.
road chores that I was like, these are the habits I need to build up again. I recorded myself doing specifically those.
Hmm,
And to make sure I didn't lose like touch with the videos, I've actually edited all 31 videos into like vlogs, vlog style. Um, and they're just here on my computer. I don't know if I'll ever upload them. I don't know if I'll ever show them to anybody else, but they're just like here for me. Um, and maybe there's a time when I'll upload them just to be like this was the moment that I felt like I had to turn it around, and this is how I felt going into it. This is how I felt coming out of it. But I think because of that, like I went from waking up at 7:30 but staying in bed until 9:30 to drag myself out of bed to go to my upstairs like desk to work at 10. I went from that to actually waking up at 7, getting out of bed, morning sunlight, being as mobile as possible most of the time to make sure like my mind is not wanting to like relapse.
let's
So
go.
and that's kind of how this is all started, where I was like, okay, that's done. I just ended up uh no taking like journaling. I don't fucking journal, but I stole a journal from work and I like wrote down like all the stuff that I wanted to do for the rest of the year, like friends I wanted to catch up with, people I wanted on the podcast, like videos that I wanted to make, topics I wanted to talk about. I started writing that down instead, just as like a little plan of action, so I wouldn't get like too overwhelmed again. Um, and then
That's
last
sick.
week I started therapy, so that was the last thing.
Whoa. All
So that was
right.
dope. It's been new.
Congrats.
Thanks. It's been interesting so far. I love talking, so like talk therapy is so much nicer than writing anything down. Um, but it's been nice so far. It's only been like brief, like 2 sessions, so nothing's much has happened. But it's been like some interesting insights already. So I'm
Have you
I'm
been
looking
doing
forward
like
to.
online ones or are they in person?
These are online initially because where I am, the nearest one is either 20 minutes away or 40 minutes away in Philly. So these are just virtual for now, which is still fine. And then I'm with one of them. I might go in person when they get back into town. I'll see, but that's been me. So now I'm back to like feeling normal again, which is weird to say normal. And for the past year and a half, I haven't been normal. So we're
That's dope,
we're
bro.
we're, we're doing good. We're doing good.
I'm happy to hear that.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. I appreciate you asking. But enough about me. We need to talk about you. Specifically, I have a couple of things I want to talk about. And by a couple,
Okay.
I mean this entire list of questions I have to the right of the camera. Uh, First, I want to start with your like. I know a little bit of your history with dance, obviously, because I've been there. Um, but I want to get your thoughts on like your current path with that, and then like where you see it going, because you've taken different routes over time, like different paths, and it looks like you're like almost trying to take a curve to a different path right now. But I want to get your like um thoughts on that.
Yeah. I feel like you know, it feels like a video game and I'm tired of the main quest. So I'm conquering a bunch of side quests right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's kind of how I feel with dance. Like
Gotcha.
I'm not really dancing as much or training as much.
Mm-hmm.
There's a bit of guilt and shame associated with that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I've just been so dialed in with like work,
Yeah.
and some other goals that I have outside
Yeah.
of dance that I've been kind of like trying to focus and hone in on.
Mm-hmm.
It's been
So
interesting.
so is that like uh you're feeling, I don't think you're feeling necessarily burnt out, but you just want something like different right now, is what you're, is just kind of like dance just naturally just dropped.
I think so. I think burnout has a little bit to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because it's weird. It's like I don't necessarily feel a want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in a constant, I guess, back and forth with myself. It's like, oh, well, just because you don't want to do it doesn't mean you shouldn't work on it
Right.
because, if you treat it like going to the gym, like you just got to do it,
Yeah.
But then at the same time, it's like, this isn't art. And I feel like maybe, I don't know, it's, it's a little different, the
Yeah.
treatment of it. I don't know.
Do you feel like having to do it would just add another thing, a list of things that you have to do to your day or your week, to where it's like that's not what you want out of dance? Like you don't want to have to do it.
I don't know what I want, to
Mm-hmm.
be honest. It's
That's
like,
fair. That's fair.
I don't know what I want. Like, yeah, I could work on it a little bit every day, and obviously the gains would add up over time, right?
Mm-hmm.
But a part of me is like, I don't know if that's what I don't know if I want to make gains with dance right now,
Mm,
you know? So it's like, why should I work on something that I don't necessarily want to make gains on at the moment? Like, I'd
yeah.
rather put that time and energy and that fire, that passion somewhere else where I'm feeling
Mm-hmm.
inspired or motivated.
And is that feeling of inspiration and motivation going towards OTD right now?
Partially,
Mm-hmm.
partially, but honestly, probably mainly work.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
most freaking driven I've been in the past 3.5 years. So
That's so interesting. I remember us talking about you like feeling dialed in finally, in a sense, like wanting to make this thing the thing you're doing, versus other things. Um, so then how are you kind of like, what's your day to day, week to week, month to month looking like? Like previously, I feel like it was, you're obviously focused on work, but then you were traveling for dance or traveling for things. And right now, are you kind of not traveling as much and just, focusing on your career?
yeah, I would say that like I've definitely dialed back on traveling.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that's not to say I'm not going to. Like I'm
Yeah.
going to LA in a couple weeks.
Nice. For
You
what?
know, for dance. It's for
Okay.
flavor of the year. There's a big event happening.
Ooh,
Um,
so you're battling that or just watching?
undecided.
Okay, so you're going to be a part of it in some way, form, or fashion. You just don't know what you're doing yet. Okay,
Yeah.
fair. Um, so I've been obviously very interested and invested in your dance career since I met you because I talk to you about it all the time. Um, I think one thing that stood out to me initially and stood out to me most recently as well with one of the um like videos that I saw of you that just came up on my feed, and it was you battling camo again. At like this was like way back when you were battling camo, and at some point, we were all at the point of we were all at that stage of we're still like new or we're still learning, and these are vets, these are OGs, they're like more experienced than us. Did you ever feel like a fear of, oh, I might have to battle these people one day? Or at what point, if you did feel that fear, did you get over that of like, oh, this is fun, like I'm confident I can hold my own against these guys and potentially beat them and kind of, I can win.
I think it's a mix of both.
Mm-hmm.
Like what's crazy is that these people that I maybe battled like, you know, however long, 3, 4 years ago, I mean, they're only getting better,
Mm-hmm.
right? So at the time, yeah, it's a confidence booster. It's like, oh, like I beat, I beat one like someone that I look up to,
Mm-hmm.
and if I feel like if I can beat this person, I can beat all these people, right?
Yeah.
Um, but then there's also this constant fear of like, oh snap, like, oh man, this person's here. Oh man,
Mm-hmm.
I know they've been practicing. It's not like they just stopped or they just
Mm-hmm.
maintained. No, they're leveling up too,
Mm-hmm.
And at that, I feel like at that experience of the camos, the shadows and vets, and they just have a certain approach um, that they've, I guess, mastered or they
Mm-hmm.
understand that works for them.
Yeah.
So it's easier to like make those gains, if they really put their mind to it. And I feel like right now I'm at a point where what worked for me the last like maybe 3, 4 years, it's not working for me right now, So it's like
Mm-hmm.
I'm having to change my approach. Um, and yeah, right now because I feel like I'm a work in progress or I'm under construction. I do have a fear of, facing up against vets again,
Mm. Yeah.
even my
Yeah.
peers. I'm afraid to. I'm like, man, I'm gonna keep getting smoked out here.
Yeah. Yeah. It feels like that happens at some point when you like change focuses or change specific goals where people still have that goal, but you have something else that you're now like, I actually want to focus on this. I'll still keep doing this at some point. But if this isn't improving and somebody else is, they might pull out ahead and you just have to be, I feel like, okay with that or understand that that's gonna happen, which seems like you are very, very aware of that.
Yeah,
So are you just so you're teaching now also, right? Or like kind of instructing?
yeah. I still teach.
Mm-hmm.
I still teach. I'm
Okay.
teaching and do private lessons and stuff.
Okay. So we have an event coming up in March. We as in you. I'll still be here, unfortunately. But OTD, the next one is in March, I believe, right? So talk to me about that. We had one earlier this year, I believe, which was it was earlier this year, right? It was like in a was in
March
April, March. It was March of this year again.
March 16th. Yeah.
Was of this year. Okay, so then that's
Yep.
it's 1 year again next year. Okay, that's fair. So between that one and this one that you're putting on, um, tell me about like the process of putting it on again, of like doing things the same, doing some things differently. I believe you brought on D Chaw to help as well. And so how has that been?
It's been good. It's been good. I feel like it's a little bit more laid back this year in terms of putting things together because we already have a structure from last year that worked really well, you know.
Mm,
A lot of things we did good. So we just roll those forward, right?
right.
But then there were it was interesting, like the feedback that I got from the last one. Um, I think it's a good thing because we got less feedback from external, I guess external, like people who were at the event.
Mm-hmm.
The feedback we got from them versus the feedback we gave ourselves internally
Gotcha.
was different.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think we got a lot of positive feedback externally, whereas internally we had some things that we thought we could have done better. And so right now, what we're focusing on is fixing those things that we think we could have done better
Mm-hmm.
to have a more efficient event, more
Mm-hmm.
fun event for everyone that was there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, that's kind of been a part of the process. Um, but yeah, it's been easier. There's also a fear though of it not going as well as the last one since it
Mm-hmm.
was we set like a certain standard for
Yeah.
it, you know? And I could tell my drive and my passion is different for this one than it is for that one.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like for the last one, I was like on go 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 mode. I was on top of everything, like I wanted it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But this time around, you know, I'm having to check my intentions and uh, you know, just try to find that passion and that love and that like so I can go go go, you know, and be
Yeah.
on top of everything. But
Yeah.
it helps having motivated people like Cha and Jalen, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
the ideas that they bring to meetings we have. Um, it really does help me like want to tap in, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
like, all right, I gotta lock in and be on top of my stuff. So
Right. Is there is so is this something that you're trying to keep as like um an ongoing thing like annually? Is that kind of the idea given this next one is a literal year after the first one, or is it just this one's a literal year afterwards, but every year it might change in terms of timing or scale or the type of event, or is this like this is the event that you want to keep going at least minimum um for the foreseeable future? Things change.
yeah. Yeah, I think I want to keep it going for the foreseeable future. And who knows, like maybe I'll switch up the format for Ode to Dallas because you know historically it's been like 1v1 popping to like trap music,
Mm-hmm.
which was dope last year. So I'm like, okay, we got to run it back. Like I
Yep.
know people want that, right?
Yeah.
But I also didn't want to push myself to just like add another category, you
Yeah.
know, because that means more time, more money, more judges,
Yep.
more thought. Uh, and I feel like sometimes it's okay to not go bigger, you
Mm-hmm.
know, right after the first event. Because a lot of events, like the first one will be great, and then they'll like want to go bigger.
Yeah.
But going bigger doesn't necessarily mean it's better, right? Because there are
Right.
more moving pieces, and if you're not ready for it, then it's gonna kind of like backfire.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to keep it the same, um,
Mm-hmm.
roughly, you know, but then change little things internally so
Yeah.
that it's going to feel different.
Yeah.
Um, it's going to have, you know, different judges, different battle guests, different MC. Um, you know, the branding is different, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those little things, it's gonna feel different. Plus the
Mm-hmm.
revisions that we make.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. You
I'm
know,
looking for
just
I'm
talking
looking
about it
forward to
actually
it.
kind of like fires me up a little bit.
Yeah. Which is good. I think like it's I feel like sometimes when I it's a thing of if you I don't know if you ever felt it where you tell something to somebody, so you get that initial dopamine hit of their reaction, and then you don't like live up to what you just talked about, versus sometimes when you do talk to somebody and you see like someone else's reactions, or you yourself get excited to talk about this thing, which then leads into you getting excited to actually work on it. There's two things that always happen. um I'm the first, but it sounds like you're the second, where, and at least in this situation, like talking about it does help you get more into it, which I think is nice. And it definitely shows, because there was a lot of care and thought put into the last one. So I definitely don't doubt that there'll be a lot of care and thought put into the next one, as well. The graphics are sick, as per usual, and I'm looking forward to like the judges, the guests you bring on, the MCs, the DJs, like whoever's, make it different, like make it still make it new, make it Dallas.
Yeah, that's the plan. That's the
Uh,
plan.
I want to throw it back a little bit, pause, and I was going through some of your old videos just to like refresh my memory on like where you your journey and everything. And there was a quote that I saw inside of one of them that kind of wanted to tell you and then get your thoughts on maybe like how you were feeling then or how you feel about it now, even though this was from you back then. So the quote goes, and I see I resonated with this a lot, which is why I picked this one specifically. I often spend time alone, go to restaurants by myself, go to bars by myself, dance by myself, vibe to music by myself, starting to feel like I'm my best friend. Tell me about that.
Dude, um, that was a time in my life where felt like I didn't have anyone, where I grew distance with the people that were in my life a lot before that point. Um, and I was trying to be okay with being alone. I think that was the big lesson, and also just um express myself um and love myself like uh undeniably, you know? Um and I resonate with that still. Like I feel like because I did that, I feel like I still am my best friend, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I am okay with being alone. I am okay with yeah, just treating myself, you know, and not caring about what other people think. You know, if I want to go for a go for food, like I'll go to a restaurant by myself, you know, or if I want to go for a drink, I'll go for a drink, but I don't really drink like that anymore.
Yeah,
Um if I
same.
want to go party, I don't have to go with anybody to party. I can party by myself. If I want to wear something like extravagant, I could wear something extravagant, you know, without judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I still do a lot of those things, to be honest. I don't, it's been nice, you know. At the time, I think I was dealing with a lot of attachment issues, had a lot of attachment issues. Um, and not just like relationship wise, just in general, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would always want someone to do something with me. I wouldn't just do it by myself.
Right.
Um, but I think once I started doing that, started having like a different perspective
Mm-hmm.
of like relationship with self.
I like that. I like that a lot. I feel like everyone should learn how to live, like be by themselves and like enjoy their own company to some extent. And I get that there's people out there who don't. I've seen them. I've been around them. Uh, I actually have never been one of those. So it's hard for me to empathize with that side. But I've seen people who don't like to be alone by themselves, and I feel like that's just another one of the skills. Like one of the one of the basic human skills or basic human traits to develop in life is how to be alone with yourself. Because that's gonna just change the way you look at things, change the way you behave, change the way you think, change the way you treat others. Because if you're used to being by yourself, add an actual other person to the mix. How do you behave when you're with them? versus how do you behave with when you're by yourself. I love that quote. I love that just phrase, and I'm glad I wrote it down so I can memorialize it somewhere. Uh, this is you might get a kick out of this. So I've always felt like alone, even going through school, because I grew up in a small town, Paris, Texas, and so no Indians in my school, like in my like grade except me. And when I got to high school, one Indian per like grade level, and that's it. Maybe two if you got really lucky. And so even growing up, all my friends were like American, Black, Hispanic, etc. And so they're just the way they behaved was different. The way they operated was different. I never felt like I had like I had friends, but it was weird. I still felt lonely, and so I got there was one time when I had tried to invite friends to go see a movie, and one of them was like this girl that I had a crush on, and then like two, three other people, like two girls, two, three guys. It was like a group, so it wouldn't be like awkward. And I had like taken the initiative to like call them from my either my house phone or like my mother's cell phone or whatever, like call them or their whoever and invite everybody out. And so my mom drops me out to the movies. Nobody else shows up. After they said they would, nobody else shows up. And there was this part of me that was like, there's two options here. I can ask to use somebody's phone and have my mom call me and like go home, or I can just go watch a movie by myself. So I sat in that theater and watched Bolt by myself. And I may have felt bad at the time, but that's one of my favorite memories. Just because like I did feel bad at the time, but it was like I can do this by myself and it's also fine. Am I doing it by myself out of choice? No. But it happened. And I think since then I just started getting used to doing things by myself, and I never really asked friends to go hang out like that. Because everybody would want to hang out at like night or like hang out at this person's place.
Hmm.
And my parents were like, okay, sure, but be back by this time. And I'd have to like find a way to get back home or ask them to come pick me up. And it
Hmm.
turned into like a whole thing of, do I want to inconvenience other people? And I was like, no, I don't care. I'll just be by myself. So I started, I was into reading, gaming, all that stuff. So I got really comfortable or just okay being by myself, but I felt lonely. And I think it wasn't
Mm.
until college when I was like truly felt like I can be by myself but not feel lonely. Because then I started training and working out and finding actual interests that I have that aren't education related. And I thought like these were my own interests and things that weren't put into me. But no, I went through the same thing myself of like needing to spend time alone and being comfortable with myself, which I love, but then I feel like to a detriment sometimes I just don't talk to people. Or there was a point in
Mm.
time when I just didn't talk to many people. Or I think that was a combination of like increasing my social anxiety at the time. Still have it, still there. But the less practice you have talking to people, the the more you like talking to yourself being alone, and then the harder it is to go out and talk to people and strike up conversations and learn how to continue a conversation in the way someone else wants it, learn how to do small talk. Hate small talk. Small talk's a thing. So I get that. I resonate with that. There's well, before I get to what I was about to say, I want to ask you another thing about that is, at that time you said you were maybe going through like a transitional phase or you were going through something and you were like spending more time by yourself. But you probably did not spend time with friends and like, maybe continue other relationships, and over time I'm sure those have changed as well. So my question is, when you're going through like another phase right now, of you're slowing down dancing a little bit, you're focusing on your career, you're focusing on like other things that aren't specifically going to like sessions or jams, maybe, has that also affected like who you hang out with, how often you hang out with people? Are you often by yourself again? Or how have you kind of maybe like, maybe you're not dancing with people but you're still meeting people and you're still seeing people and you're still hanging out with people? How has that been?
Mm. I think I've definitely not been hanging out with people um as much, but I think the people in my life now feel a lot more permanent.
Mm,
And what I mean by that is I feel like for example, we talked 2 months ago, but it feels like yesterday to me, you know? And I think that's a sign of a more permanent relationship in a
mm-hmm.
sense, you know? Like these are people who are always, um, well, always is kind of, because obviously there's like death, right? But that's me
No, 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 no.
thinking
Even
very
after
abstract.
death, wherever you are and wherever I am, I'm juking to your popping. That's how it works.
There you go. There you go.
There you
Yeah,
go.
but that's what I mean. Like, I feel like I have a lot more permanent relationships now to where even if we don't see each other for like a while, we can pick up right where we left off,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and maybe a part of it is that I'm secure with myself too. Um, and so the relationships around me are very they 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 have to be secure, you know,
Yeah.
because if they're attached to me in some way and I'm not there, then you know, I feel like that's not going to be as permanent
Mm-hmm.
of a relationship, you know, it's going to cause strain. But I
Mm-hmm.
feel like right now, like even with me being absent, I don't think it necessarily puts strain on many of my relationships, you know.
Yeah. And I think that's been a factor of time, maybe when we were all in university and maybe when we were all in like in our earlier 20s and we were around each other more, like sometimes your identity is the people that you spend time with versus your identity is yourself, and then the experiences you have are your identity plus other people's. But to your point of like, when if you get attached to certain people and they're not there, you lose a sense of identity or you lose a sense of purpose because the people you rely on to maybe have a good time or talk or anything are not there.
Mm-hmm.
um yeah, that's interesting because so I've been listening. So part of this, a result of this month of me getting back on track of my with my life and doing my 180 is getting back into podcasting, which I missed it so much. Rishi, I missed it so much. It's crazy. Like I took time off from podcasting because I thought that, okay, I'm consuming a lot of knowledge, but am I really putting it into action? Or am I just consuming it for the sake of
Mm.
consumption? And for me, I was in that thought process of, if I'm just consuming for the sake of consumption or accumulating knowledge without action, I'm not doing, like, I'm not improving. This is not the self improvement I want. This is not the progress that I want. So I thought that, okay, I'm going to stop consuming new information to then work on the information I have right now. That was a bad idea because I realized that, and this is something that I've come to like realize in the past month or so, is in today's day and age. In the past, we would say like, you know, you are a product of your environment. So it's like the people you're around, the way you're up, the way you're brought up, the things you see, the things you physically interact with in the physical world. But now we're a product of what we consume, even more than like what we interact with physically. And so I
True.
was consuming the wrong things after I stopped podcasting. Podcasting was helping me with like the consumption part of that. Of I was consuming good information, healthy information, and consuming it in a way that was healthy. And when I stopped that, I started consuming just like my gaming videos again and my streams and just
Mm.
very distracting information that was actually not providing any value to me besides entertainment and distraction. And
Mm.
so and then I, for some reason, just couldn't get back to listening to podcasts because the ones I had were not hitting the same. And then I found new ones, one of them being this Chris Williamson guy. Highly recommend so far. I've only been like about 2-3 weeks in listening to him, but I highly recommend. It's just like the way that he runs his podcast is very similar to the way I want to run this one, as just like talking to somebody. And he doesn't do introductions, he doesn't do any of that. He just kind of gets into the conversation, like almost like you're just watching two people have a conversation. It's really nice. But I started listening to that again, and he has talked briefly about this like concept that he's like mentally come up with after like 6, 7, 8 years of his own journey, is called the lonely chapter. And
Mm.
every time he talks about it, I tear up, but I can never cry. It's part of my own, I think, personal blockers. Like I don't like to cry, so I think I just block myself from crying, but I was well up. And he explains it much better than I do, and his voice is much better than I do, and he's British, so his accent's much better than mine is. And I'm
You
not
can
going to
learn
bring out
more.
the I'm not going to bring out the Indian accent for this one, so I'll have to keep it American. But the way he explains it is the lonely chapter is this period of time, whether it's 6 months, 5 years, 10 years, where you're on this journey of like trying to change yourself or improve yourself, where you've outgrown or outgrowing the previous set of friends and community that you had, but you're not yet at the point where you've built and generated this new set of friends and community for like the new person you're trying
Mm.
to become, the new you. So you're in this lonely period of time where like it feels like you're the only one who is doing what you're doing, thinking what you're thinking, and there's no one else to shoot the shit with. There's no one else to do it with together, or no one else just understands what you're going through. So you're just on your own for like a long period of time until like bam, you one day you look up and you have a new set of friends you talk to, a new set of peers, a new like space you're in, etc. And that really hit me because I've been in this journey. I feel I've been in like a pretty long lonely chapter ever since I like decided to do all of this stuff that I'm doing with the content and the podcast and the books and just trying to be different or be a better person. And
Hmm.
and going off of that is why you're going back to your phrase really resonated with me was I still spend a lot of time alone. And sometimes that alone feels lonely. Um, because I've noticed that like high school friends I used to like chat with, I stopped chatting with them in college, but I even stopped chatting with them more now because like it's just
Hmm.
nobody who I was friends with in high school. Like that was a high school Irish. And if you were to put high school Irish and current Irish, we would not be the same person in the slightest almost. We don't even look the same, which is like just it's completely different people at this point. And then college Irish and post college career adult like job earning Irish are different Irishes. Their similarities are still
Right.
there, but now they're different. So it's even been like college friends that I used to have that they were friends of that period, but they did not that friendship did not have any sort of permanence into this phase. And
Hmm.
then bring it full circle into what you just said about, you know, I didn't want this to be a lonely chapter in retrospect. So I think I've been trying to like keep the relationships that I want to be permanent throughout this. So that way I don't feel like I'm doing it alone. Like you and I are on our journey together, but we're walking in parallels. Sometimes, you know, maybe not fully parallel. Sometimes our paths cross, and then they split apart again. But I can talk to you because you know what I'm. You can empathize or sympathize, or I can explain to you what I'm going through, and it's not like I'm just. You're just like, oh, that's cool, interesting. There's not like a vacancy in your eyes when I say that.
Right.
There's an understanding, there's an interest, there's something there. And so I realized that like when I was writing this list of friends that I wanted to catch up with, um, when I was journaling, it seemed like I was trying to like still pull on some friendships, and some of them, the first ones were all natural, and then the last ones were like, who else didn't come to my mind immediately? And I noticed that I've been very aware of that. Like that doesn't feel nice, but I think it's just like life of
Yeah.
that was that phase, like, and this is this phase. Like you don't have to reach out, like you don't have to keep it going. You can continue this
Mm.
chapter with different friends, and if you want to make new ones, some go away. You have capacity for new ones now, or
Yeah.
there's a new thing coming in front as well. So that's been very interesting to like work through. I think this is the most articulate I've been on the subject, even with myself, which makes sense because this is the best I felt about this whole thing. But the lonely chapter in itself, like I love the concept of it because it really does explain that period,
Yeah.
and it does make you understand that like a lot of people go through this, just not the ones around you. And that's kind of what
Mm.
inspired that. And I actually was on like an hour long call with Andy earlier today, just to chat and catch up with him. And he's one of those people who like is going through it, like he's doing his own thing, so he definitely understands like what I'm going through and what we're doing. And after that, I it just hit me like the reason why these people stay around is because the kind of person that I want to be, the things I want to talk about, these people want to talk about the same things or go through the same things, or I can talk to them about the same things. Versus I truly don't know if I reached out to like my high school friends, they'd like listen and be like, "Oh, that's cool, that's interesting," but they're not near like anywhere what I'm trying to do anymore. And like
Yeah.
I've been fearful to reach out to them because I think if once I do and that call, depending on how that call goes, I might be like crossing them off the list, versus just checking them off, saying, "All right, in a couple of months I'll reach back out," kind of thing. Um, but this was a really interesting thing that like I've been reflecting on. I wanted to share.
You know, on that, it's really interesting because I feel like after, I guess, my lonely chapter, in a sense, when I was going through uh spending more time with myself, I realized that the relationships that became more permanent, like they've already been in my life. Uh it's just I didn't view them as permanent, or I didn't invest in them
Mm,
as much as I do now. Uh like when I was dancing, obviously I had a whole group of friends that I've made through dance, right? And I would just kind of categorize them as, oh, these are my dance homies, and
hmm.
then these are my, my
Yeah, that
friends.
yeah, yeah, yep. These are my college homies. These are my dance scene homies. These are my different. It's always a category.
Right, right. But then I think once I went through that lonely chapter, um, now I don't really have a separation, you know? I think my friends are my friends, and most of them are now I are my dance homies,
Hmm.
that I categorized before,
Yeah.
which I thought was really interesting. Even though I'm taking a step back from dance, like those people are still in my life, and
Hmm.
I still talk to them outside of dance about life,
Hmm.
you know. Obviously, we could touch on dance, but it's like there's just so much more we can talk about because maybe we have
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I agree. I think it's the friends who, it's the people who specifically are doing different things that are still connected by dance that I think are the ones that I've still stayed in touch with. Um, that's something to think about. There's so much to talk about right then and there, but I want to pivot a little bit and
Okay.
ask you, so with these new changes and everything, do you have any sort of like new like routine? Are you someone who has like a morning routine, or has like a specific schedule they like to stick to, like a plan, or do you just kind of outline and just kind of take it day by day? Like what how do you kind of structure yourself right now given the things you're trying to achieve?
I feel like right now I'm kind of going through a little bit of a relapse in a sense. Um, but it's interesting because some of the habits that I've cultivated are still sticking, even
Mhm.
though I've relapsed in some ways. Like I haven't been as consistent as going to the gym, but I you know, maybe like last month I was going 3 days a week, like
Mhm.
ritually.
Mhm.
But I'm still making my bed every morning, and I don't
Yeah.
even think about that. It's just like, and like,
Yep.
I still go grab ingredients for. I like to make this breakfast sandwich every morning.
Mhm.
And before I didn't, and even though I'm relapsing in some ways, I still went out, got those ingredients, and I've been making that for myself. So it's interesting. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, certain habits. are sticking. So maybe I need to just like it gives me a little bit more strength that maybe I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have when I had zero routine, you
Right.
know? Because back when I had no routine and I tried a routine, and I would relapse,
Mm-hmm.
I would have nothing, and then I would just give up and be like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
well, I can't do this.
Right.
But I feel like now it's like I've built a certain foundation, whether it's making my bed
Mm-hmm.
every morning, right? Or showering every night, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or doing my dishes, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
now I have a certain, like, now that's become my floor instead
Mm-hmm.
of my floor being nothing.
Right.
And I find that a little interesting. I think I do like routine, whether I want to admit it or not. Because I feel like if I don't have a routine, I'm gonna, I'm just not gonna be focused.
Mm-hmm.
I've realized that having a routine actually helps me just lock in so much more.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's interesting. I'm in an interesting uh I guess place with routines, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to I'm trying to go back to like being way more habitual,
Yeah.
getting back on that. But yeah.
Well, I mean, I think stability is important, and it seems like it's really interesting about this that you said, okay, you had this routine previously, and maybe this month it's like lessened, but then you're noticing these habits stuck, where these other things that I thought may have been habits didn't. And I almost don't want to jinx it because now we're aware of it, but it is an interesting experiment to see like month to month or even like 3 month to 3 month time, keep being aware of in the first set of first time period, what am I doing consistently? And then the second time period, what am I doing consistently? And then seeing which ones transferred over, which ones didn't. Because that I feel like I feel like there's like insights to be had there of like, okay, maybe you're not going to the gym as frequently because this other thing is now taking up that time that the gym had, or this other thing is giving the same feeling that the gym initially gave you for that period of time. And so now
Mm,
that's the thing that you want to do instead. But
interesting.
there's no other feeling that there's no other feeling that substitutes the stability of better make bed every morning, or for sustenance make sandwich every morning. There's no other feeling for that, and there's no other substitute for that, which is why that stayed. And that's the the social experimentist in me is so intrigued right now. I need to write this down. Um, just give me 1 second.
No, it's so interesting because I do feel like I'm my own like experiment right now.
Mm-hmm. Those are the
I feel
best. Those are the
like
best times. I feel like well, they feel great, like you said, when you have still like the foundation, the stability that you have. Those experiences are then the best because you always have like something to fall back on of like, okay, I've been doing all these different things, but this feels comfortable. This feels familiar. I know what I'm doing in these things while I'm in some other uncharted space or whatever it is. It's really nice when you're doing God knows what the entire day, but it's fully unstructured. That can definitely get overwhelming or like feeling very you can feel very like scattered with that. That, man, now I have to run this experiment myself at some point too. The couple of the specific habits that I was running in October were quite literally like I would be like I'm gonna admit it because it happened. I would be very bad with brushing my teeth. There would be days where I would like wake up and do it the first thing in the morning, but then the next day I wouldn't do it until like later morning. The next day I wouldn't even do it until nighttime. So I would go the entire day and do my entire day drinking, eating, whatever it is. Don't brush until the night, and then the next morning skip the morning again. And it was very inconsistent, very bad. Even though I went to the dentist, they're like, your teeth are fine. I'm like, wow, but it's very inconsistent. And I was like, there's something here about like it's not like it's a game changer for me to do it in the morning or the night or whatever it is. Maybe it is. I don't know. But there's something about doing it in the morning that like It's not that it's scientifically proven that's better for your teeth, but the stability of in the morning, I wake up and I do these things. I wake up and I get out of my bed, do not look at my phone. I also have started to make my bed in the mornings, not every single morning, but I do get out of my bed and I turn around and I look at that thing and I'm like, that's just one pull and it's clean. Like, because I don't toss and turn. So it's like I just fold that thing out, I get out of it, I
Oh,
fold it back in and pull, and now
you're
it's done.
lucky.
And it's yeah, no, we have a duvet, so it's like heavy, so it like doesn't move that much.
So lucky.
Um, yeah, no, it's nice. So like I've started to do that. I never did that my entire life. My parents would ask me to, and I'd be like, fine, if they'd tell me to, but I would never do it voluntarily until last month. And then I would do my like uh every morning I would brush my teeth, and I still do. And then when I feel like I need to, I do my nasal rinse because they told me to do that thing for my allergies because your boy refuses to get shots. Um, fucking needle. And
I just deal with it.
same. Like I had nasal reconstruction surgery in July, and I still have very similar breathing capacity to when before I had the surgery because swelling hasn't fully gone down yet. They said it'll take like a year for all the bones to set and like a while for like the swelling and everything to go down. But there's also then the now the factor of my allergies are actually the thing to where that's why I'm congested and that's why I have to rinse. So I'll do that every other day, but that still feels like a habit and a stable foundation. It's just not like this has to be done every day. But my brain knows every other day it will be done. Same thing with like washing my face. I have seborrheic dermatitis on my face, and so it gets flaky here, and flaky here now, and then my scalp. So I know that okay, well if I wash my face with cold water consistently, flakes don't arise at all. Soon as I put piping hot water on my face and I wash my face in the shower, flakes are back. Okay. Every other day or every second day, at minimum, every second day, you have to wash your face with cold water. You can go 1 or 2 days without like washing your face and doing like the full face care, but every day you should wash your face regardless. But the heaviness of that, you don't have to do every day. So then certain things have certain like timed habits, which is like the next level of this thing. Oh, this is so interesting. This is so interesting that I get to talk to somebody about this. Holy shit. uh it's it's a really nice foundation to have that
Yeah.
I did not have before. um and these are the reasons why I feel good every day. It's not that I feel good every day because I'm going out and meeting somebody new. It's not because I feel good every day because some breakthrough happened. I feel good every day because I did these small things that like add up to one good morning and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's I love that. I love the idea of just habits are not daily. Habits are just consistent things that you do that provide stability to your life, and that's what we should be striving to achieve. Not like we don't have to do it daily. Can people do 30-day challenges all the time? I tried them in the past.
Right.
I also hated them because I always failed them. So I became like cynical of them, like the usual. You become a cynic of what you can't do sometimes. Um, and then I ended up doing it in some way because of this camera and all this stuff. But do you feel like because of this like stability that you have of these habits and kind of the things you do day to day that it helps you also with like confidence going about your day of new things might come up today. I might not know what else I'm doing today, but I've done these things and I'm confident about like proceeding through the rest of my day. Or do you still feel some days are like a bit uncertainty of, I don't know what's going to happen today. I don't know how I feel about today. It's not like the best day, but it's just another day. Have you like had these kind of feelings?
Yeah. I think this foundation that I've set with certain habits, they instill confidence in me when I need it.
Mm,
Um, so like when things don't go well, when I have a bad day, I'm like, well, I mean, I made my bed, I brushed my teeth, I made myself breakfast, I made myself matcha. I got done with a whole work day that was pretty damn productive,
Mm-hmm.
and I can still end it off right, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then tomorrow's a new day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to me, I didn't have that before, you know? So I don't know. I just feel like there is a sense of confidence that comes with it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it's I think it's helped me. Also, dude, coming home to a clean room feels amazing. Like
Coming
I'm
home.
looking around right now and I'm like, damn.
Cameron's looking around too, apparently. Like, there's like, damn.
But it's
That's
true.
true.
Like never felt like this before, you know?
Great
Um,
song.
and it took a little bit of work, but um, yeah, it feels good. It feels empowering, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
not on the days necessarily where things are good, but on the days that are really good, it's like, okay, this is like extra credit, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But the days that are bad, it's like, okay, well, at least I did what I needed to do almost. That's
Yeah.
what it feels like. And it feels like my floor is higher, so I have greater appreciation for it myself, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It makes being kinder to yourself easier in a sense. Which is a different
Mm-hmm.
perspective too that I've been thinking about. Damn, I just thought of that. That was a good one. But it's true. It's like you're already doing so much. So if you don't go above and beyond, it's like it's okay. At least you did all these things, you know? That's your floor now. Like
Mm-hmm.
congratulations, you know? That's a
Yeah.
level up.
That I was literally just thinking the word level up. Like, you're just on a different level now. You're not on ground zero anymore. It's like, um, imagine you're climbing or climbing and you're climbing and you set these blocks underneath yourself. Those blocks can get moved out at any point in time. But the ground that you've set up underneath yourself, like your foundation, that's not getting moved. No one's gonna kick that from underneath you, and no one can. So even if you fall, this is the ground. This is where you fall into. Versus previously, if you fell all the way down here. And that's a really good way to put it. And I love that it's these simple things, these like mundane, rote, like basic things that are the ones that make us feel like this, not the, you know, ooh, like I I don't know how to put this. Not the post that I made today. Not the sometimes not even like, oh, I did something, like this is how work went. And even if work went bad, it doesn't matter because these things I already did these today. It's like I went to the gym today. Going to the gym, great. Whatever happens at the gym could be good or bad. You went to the gym, and that's the plus point. The plus point isn't I hit my PR today. The plus point is I got in the gym and got my work in today. I talk to Canvas like almost every day, and it's almost every morning because I sit here and work, and then he wakes up and I'm like, what are you doing? And we just talk before he goes to work and I'm still working. And a lot of the times I get inspired by him because he's like, today was supposed to be a rest day, so I'm just gonna do my 100s. And I'm like, the fuck do you mean it's a rest day then? But he's like, that's just no, it's a rest day. So like I'm resting from like my intense workout, but I'm still gonna be active. I'm still gonna move. I'm still gonna be mobile. And there's days when he's like, I don't want to dance, but he goes and does it because that's his floor. If he knows like the rest of the day might be going some way, that's his floor. And it's made me think like, what do I want my floor to be? Like, what do I want my foundation to be? Um, and that's so interesting. That's so interesting. Wow, so many insights. So many insights just from one conversation. This is what therapy's supposed to do to you, and we're not even in therapy, so it's great. Um, I can't. The best thing that's the best part about going to therapy now is for me to be able to just crack jokes about therapy and not feel like an ass because I'm doing it, so I'm doing it so I can make jokes on it now. Versus I wasn't doing it before, so it felt bad. It felt wrong to make jokes on it. And I even had to tell my therapist, I was like, just as you've seen from this one get to know me session, I make a lot of jokes. I definitely mask a lot of things through humor. They're like, that's fine, that's good. I'm like, oh wow, I get permission to do this again. Um, okay, completely side note. Anything you've been reading recently? We talked last time, and I love that I loved that you tried to read, it wasn't working, but then you found a different world of audiobooks, and that did help you um get through like books and things. So are there any is there anything that you're on reading now or that's on your list that you want to read?
Dude, I still need to finish Atomic Habits, bro.
I feel like those books you don't have to finish them. It's like you read them to get what you need out of them, and you will naturally go back feeling like I want to know what the rest of that is. Maybe I need that now. So I almost feel like it's fine that you haven't finished it because whenever you want it again, you'll read it again. There.
Dude, you know what it is? I feel like, okay, I feel like it's a game in a sense. And you could complete a mission and get like 70%, but low key, like I want to complete it, get 100%, get all the Easter eggs, and
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? Like you want to
Yeah.
complete it with
Yeah.
like flying colors.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel. I feel like Atomic Habits gave me these things that I feel like I
Mm-hmm.
haven't mastered yet.
Right.
And the perfectionist in me wants to really be able to master it. And I feel
Mm-hmm.
like I'm getting close. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I'm at like a so far, right? At what the
Mm-hmm.
book has given me. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like I'm at 50, 60%,
Yeah.
which is better than zero. So I feel like I want to get to like 90, 95, 100%. And I'm like, okay, I feel good about this. Let's see what the rest of this book is about, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Um and I don't have much left, but after that, dude, I want to read the book that you recommended to me. It's on my list. It's on my list. I literally look at it every day. I'm like, oh, I gotta read this.
I forget which one was it.
So good they can't ignore you.
Mm, that's gonna be a good one. I feel like and I think I
I
probably recommended that
know.
to you because I feel like you've always embodied that to me, which is why I had to recommend it to you. And this is gonna be a major spoiler, but I'm working on a one of my list of videos that I need to make for the book channel is books that I recommend to friends. Which that's gonna be mostly fantasy books, but I'm gonna dabble a little bit of like other like self-improvement books that I think would also like be good for that person. But being so good they can't ignore you has always been you. And so I feel like there's like just there's extra like that book is extra credit for what you've already been doing of like I feel like there's stuff in there that yeah, like you're gonna read some stuff and think, hmm, this kind of seems like what I've been doing. And then some things are like, ooh, I could really add this in though, or like I could think about it. This is a different way to think about it for sure.
Mm,
I get that.
yeah, dude.
That'll be a good one. That'll be a good one. Let me know once you're done with that. I really wanna. I want to know what you think. Um, because some of these classics are classics for a reason. I've been trying to read a lot of different new ones, but I've also told myself I can't read any books anymore. I've banned
Why?
myself from reading books because I'm backlogged on the book reviews that I was supposed to make from the books that I read all summer.
Oh,
And so since I wasn't making videos, I also wasn't typing up the reviews as I was reading them. I was just chugging through books. So I had to figure out what the fuck I thought about July's 6 books that I read to then write a review on them. That's part of my admin work of like, my reward is reading again, but I got to get to this work first. That's kind of what the next week or so is, hopefully, is if I can really tune in to these books and kind of at least remember how I felt about them. I think I can write a decent review on them. And then once I finish the series and stuff, I can maybe write and make a good video about like the series of how I felt and how it was and things like that is what I want to work on, like script it out. But gotta write these fucking reviews first. I gave myself a goal of writing 50 book reviews this year.
dang.
I think I'm at like,
Okay.
and I'm in the 20s somewhere. So I gave myself a goal to read 75
This
books this
year?
year. This year. because there were so many spurts of like I just couldn't read. Like I couldn't read in April, but I read like one. I didn't even read. I read one book the entirety of April, and then I read like maybe 3 books in May, and then in June it was like another 2 or 3. But then in July I read like 6 or 7. And the thing with me is I read manga, manhwa, and actual physical books in tandem. So I read a shit ton of things. Um, so I do cheat on Goodreads because manga volumes count as one book, which they should, by the way, because like you see them, they're the size of like a good standalone novel. How many of our chapters? So I'll go on to Goodreads and I'll be like, okay, I read this entire manhwa in like 2 days. It was like 100 chapters, but it's split up by volumes in Goodreads. Book 1, book 2, book 3, book 4, book 5, adding it to the list. So I'll cheat like that a little bit, but I've given myself like a little rule of you got to do this work, and then you can read again. Because there's a lot of books I'm backlogged on that I told people I read. There's authors that I've been dying to read, and books that I've gotten that I haven't been able to read yet. But I was like, this is the work you should do first. Like you really got to get this work in first. It can only help me, right? Like I'm posting reviews specifically to be better at writing reviews, thinking about books, etc. So if I don't do that, what's the point of me reading the books right now?
Bro, you know what though?
Yeah.
That's your floor, bro.
It
That's
is.
crazy.
It
Dude, I
is.
can't even read. I've read 2 books this year, probably.
You
Like
know
your
that's
floor is crazy,
that's
dog.
better than my wife. She's read one. Straight up. So I get that. No, I get that. I'm it's just the thing. It's just the thing that like I love to do. Um
It's tight.
and yeah, so that's kind of what I'm working on. But okay, cool. So you're getting through Atomic Habits, and hopefully you're gonna start. Like, do you take notes over these books, or do you just kind of like file them to memory?
I filed them to memory.
Okay,
Yeah.
because
I
the
really
only
try to apply. I think that's my
mm-hmm.
thing.
Yeah, because if you apply it, it's gonna stick in there anyway. It's like understanding something versus memorizing it. Like if you really try and go through it, it'll come to you. If you ever want to like revisit it, so that makes sense. Um, okay, this next one's gonna be an exercise, not physically. Uh, but this is one of my favorite things to do, and I do this every year because even this year, the answer for this changed, and it's called the Ideal Day uh, framework. So think about either yourself now, or think about like 2, 3, 5 years down the line, and think about if money was not an option, or if even if it was, if it was like you don't have all the money in the world, what would you ideally be doing? Like, what would an ideal day look like for you?
With work or without work?
What is your ideal day?
Dude, sleeping all day. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I feel like that'd be horrible.
No. You're speaking my language as somebody who battles between wanting to do nothing for his entire life and wanting to do all these big things in life. I'm constantly battling. I just want to sit here and do nothing.
I think my ideal day. Uh, ah, I mean, I don't know, wake up, make my bed, brush my teeth, make breakfast, make matcha. So those things I already do.
Exactly.
Um, if I have 8 hours of work, I want to do 8 hours of work. I think you know what it is. I think my ideal day is just doing everything that I have to do on a given day passionately and happily.
Mm-hmm.
That's my ideal day,
Mm-hmm.
honestly. Like if it's brushing my teeth, and this is something my dad told me. Like he told me you could do anything passionately. Because I asked him, "Do you have any passions?" You know, because I don't know about your parents, but I feel like immigrant parents, like they're just so focused on like providing. Um, so I asked my dad, I'm like, do you have any passions? And he's like, well, I don't have any passions in the traditional sense, but I do everything passionately. If I'm in traffic, I'm passionately in traffic, you know?
Oh, that is such a dad joke. I love that.
But it stuck with me. I'm like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you could really do anything passionately.
Mm-hmm.
So honestly, I know it's a very like abstract answer, but I think my ideal day is just doing everything that I have to do passionately
Mm-hmm. I think that's the
on a
most
given day.
abstract answer I've ever received to that question. And I think that's very cool because you took the question and you took the parameters and said the parameters are as open as possible, so I'm going to be as open as possible. And you initially started with like the things that you do, and then it just turned into I just want to I'm more concerned about the way that I'm doing them, which I've never heard from somebody else. Because even my own ideal day, I structured it out. It didn't involve my actual career that I'm doing now. It involved this stuff, but it involved the activities. But I never really thought about like as long as I'm doing whatever I'm doing with passion, um with gen genuinity. That's not the word. With passion, with interest, with drive, then I feel like that day is ideal. Versus if there's any part of my day that feels like a drag, it doesn't feel ideal. But then at the same time, we're talking about how we feel. We can easily change something that feels like a drag into something that feels fun and passionate. Mm,
Yeah,
mm,
yeah, yeah. I've been thinking about that a lot.
interesting.
I mean, you think about like basketball players because I've been watching
Mm-hmm.
a lot of basketball.
Yeah.
Um, and the reps that they have to put in every single day,
Mm-hmm.
and not even every single day, like maybe 3 to 4 times a day,
Mm-hmm.
just in the gym doing the same shots
Mm-hmm.
over and over again, the reps. And dude, I get bored doing popping drills. you know,
Yep.
I there's so many little things that we get bored doing, and I'm sure they feel that boredom too, but what makes the great ones great is that they not only do they do it, but they do it passionately, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Um,
Yeah.
and I feel like that's important. That yeah, like you said, the way that we do
Mm-hmm.
things. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I think it almost depends, but I feel very hesitant to say that anything I do I can do with passion because there's things that I've been doing that if I do them, there's like nothing there. And so I think about that question and think I can I would not be able to make everything passionate, but ideally there are a set of things that these things I could be passionate about at any point in time, and these things I will never be passionate about. But if they have to happen, they happen. But because I was just thinking, like, my ideal day has never involved what I do currently as part of my career. When I as like even when I first learned of this exercise, it has changed over time actually, but it's never involved what I do now. And so that's got me thinking of like where are my passions, where are my interests, like how can I go towards that ideal day more. Um, food for thought, food for thought for sure. For anybody who's ever listening to this podcast, for the 5 people who listen to this when it comes out, um, what is one message that you would like to give to anybody listening? And it can be about anything, whether it's um, I'm not going to give you another parameter for that. But if there's one message you think, that you'd want to impart to somebody else, Okay, let me give you a parameter. Maybe it'll make it like a little bit easier of like for for something that you're doing in life right now, for someone who is trying to figure out what do I want to do, who am I, who do I want to be, what is like my end goal, my end purpose, like all these like things that we sometimes think at like starting at this age. What is one message that you want to tell somebody?
Just be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. It's important.
That's fair. That's fair. All right, folks. It's not for the introduction. This guy is no, I'm playing. Um Thank you so much for having this conversation with me. It felt like a conversation that we would have off camera and off recording, which is what I envisioned. And I
Oh, you were
appreciate you.
recording? No, I'm just playing.
Yeah, actually, I never told him. I just hit the button and we just started going. I told him nothing else. But thank you so much. It was great. It was great to talk to you again. And I'm gonna obviously make it a point. Like we chat offline all the time anyway. So when I come across this, there's this one podcast that I like. I think I wrote down. I'm gonna send it to you in case you ever need like background noise for while you're working, which is exactly what I do. It's really good in my opinion, in terms of like everything that it says. But before you go, do you want to shout yourself out? Where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me. You want me to give them my like physical home address or?
Honestly, if you want more friends, like if you're down, like I'd be so happy to dox. I'm kidding.
Nah, you can find me at Rift_1 on Instagram. That's all I have. I
That's
don't
all.
have a
That's
TikTok or
that is really
anything.
it. I'd never talked to you on any other medium. I don't even think I have your phone number. If I do, never use it. And I think that's amazing. There's certain friends with that I like. I only talk to them through this like platform. And then there's some friends that I'm like Discord, Instagram, text, like Facebook Messenger, like so for some reason every single one of them gets used. It's just like that. Okay, so you can find him at Rift_1. He posts a good amount of videos. Most of them are of dancing, but you'll never get tired of those because I haven't, and I've known this kid for. I'm sorry, I did not mean to say kid. I'm so sorry. My bad. I've known this amazing young man for 6, 7 or so years now, maybe even 8.
2016.
8 years. I've known this man for 8 years. He's only gotten better at what he does and who he is. And if you are in the Dallas, Texas area on March 15th, 2025, go attend Ode to Dallas. Their second event, first one was this year in March. The next one's March 15th, 2025. They have their own Instagram page, Ode to Dallas. Go follow it and go to what has been this year the best event in Dallas. And I'm not just saying that because that's the only event I went to. It was still the best one. And I expect nothing less of the next one that's coming up.
Gonna be great, bro. I'm
It's gonna be
excited.
dope.